Hey guys, so this week what we're going to do is look at exercise 15 from Troy Stetina's Metal Rhythm Guitar book, volume 1. And this one, I kind of put like a little bit of a funky kind of bass line in there and made it, it's going to be a little bit less straightforward, which you're going to have to get used to when you're playing different songs. Everything isn't going to just be right a perfect beat and bass playing right on the beat all the time, and there's going to be some things going on, so you kind of have to get used to actually really making sure you really focus on what you're doing. You got to listen to the other stuff, but if something funky's going on in the background, you got to learn how to not let that throw you off. It's not going to be really bad or anything, but it's just not going to be like a bomb, 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 bomb. Just a basic bass line. And same with the drums. The drums are not just basic. It's not crazy, but it's a little bit of a couple beats in there and stuff. So yeah, so there's that. And as far as the actual progression itself, we're going to be doing is kind of the same kind of thing as we were doing before. We're going to be working on quarter notes and half notes, but in this one we're going to take a look at dotted half notes, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And also we're going to do some jumping around, so that is a little bit difficult trick in itself for any of you beginners. There's a couple little tricks I'll show you on how to make sure you're hitting it and you're not like hitting something and go way past it or not going far enough. So yeah, there's some little tricks we'll go over with that. Again, as usual, I'll do like a quick little demo for you. I'll just go through a few times and kind of fade out, and then we'll get into the actual lesson. So yep, we will see you there. So starts out pretty easy. Some half notes. You're playing the E5, playing an F. It's really, you should get to know what all these chords are. But an E to F, which is a power chord on your low E string in the first fret. Then we're going to go to a G, which is our power chord on the third fret, and then back to our F. So it's, and again, they're half notes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, when you're trying to keep track of what chords you're playing or the frets, you can hit like E and say note to take up that extra beat. So it's E note, F note, G note, F note. And you can say the fret numbers. You can may as well say E here. E note, 1 note, 3 note, 1 note. But I would suggest start trying to say the actual chord names, because that's gonna help you out. So E note, F note, G note, F note. And that's the very first part of this progression. Now, that's easy enough. Let's look at the second part. So if you got that book, you're going to notice there's our E, and it's a half note, but there's these dots next to it. And in tabs, yeah, a lot of times put 2 dots. If you see it in regular notation, there'll be the regular notation note and just 1 dot next to it. But in these tabs, there's 2 dots. And what these dots do is extends that chord. So instead of the half note 1, 2, and then it stops or goes on to another chord, these dots add a little extra to it. And what these dots add is half the value of whatever that note is. I know it's might sound a little confusing, but again, half the value of whatever that note attached to it is. So if we got a half note, that's worth 2 beats. And then the dot is worth half of that. So what is that? Half of 2? 1. So our half note is worth 2, and our dot is worth 1. So together, a dotted half note would be worth 3 beats altogether. So again, here's our half note. Here is our dot. So if let's just say you're not likely going to see this, but let's say you've seen a dotted whole note. Whole note is 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a dot to that. That's equal to half of the value of that note that's attached to, which in this case is a whole note. So a whole note is worth 4, and the dot is worth half of that, so it's 2. So 4 for the actual whole note, and then our dot is worth 2 more. So a dotted whole note would be worth 6 beats. I'll do one more. It's a little bit more confusing, but if we have a dotted quarter note, a quarter note is worth 1. Again, the dot is worth half the value of that note. So half of 1 is, of course, half. So our quarter note is worth 1, and that dot would be worth a half. So all together, a dotted quarter note would be worth 1.5 beats. But in our case here, we're using a half note. So a half note is worth 2. The dot is worth 1 because it's attached to a half note, and half of 2 is 1. So half note plus our dotted half note is worth 3 beats. So when you play the second half of this, you're going to play 1, 2, 3 instead of just 1, 2. And yep, so hopefully you got that straight. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Then it goes back to our F. And then we have to jump up and hit frets 8, 7, back to 1. Which this is C, B, F. So with this, ideally, it could be, what you want to do here is, the E, maybe 1, 2, 3, F, C, B, F. Ideally, again, saying the actual fret numbers, the actual names of the chords is ideal. But if not, you can just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 8, 7, 1. You can say the actual fret numbers if you want. We'll try it both ways. But here's the trick with this. So we talked about this 1, 2, 3. Now it's over here. Going up here, that's the problem where people go 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't hit it, or not far enough. So I'm going to bring the camera back up so you can watch my head. So what happens here, I'll back up a little bit, is a lot of times what happens when people are trying this, 1, 2, 3, hit that, and then they're looking, using their hands and looking around for it, 2, 3, and they're moving all over the place because they're keeping their eyes connected right here to their fingers, and they're searching for that spot at the same time as they're moving their fingers up, and that's where you're going to be making mistakes. So what you need to do is 1, 2, 3, hit this. Now once you hit that, boom, look at your destination. your destination is right here at the 8th fret. So if you do 2, 3, and I look at my destination, and I keep my eye on there, I just got to bring my fingers right over to that spot. And that's where you're going to be able to nail it dead on. 2, 3. So as long as you look first, target your area first, then bring your fingers over. Don't play this and at the last second use your fingers to find the spot. You got to always target that first, and bring that your fingers towards it. Because once you have the target on there, it's not going to be all that hard. You're staying on the same string. You just bring it right to your target. So it's 1, 2, 3, F. And see how I looked over there? Now I'm hitting here. I got to go back down there. Guess what I do there? I'm going to look over there first and bring it. And I just keep staring at it. So watch how when I go up here, I was going to stare at it. I'll exaggerate a little bit here, but I'm going to stare at it. And then when I go back down, I'm going to stare at it. See how I looked over? Right when I hit this chord, I'm looking over here. When I hit this chord, I'm looking over there. Because I'm already there. There's no reason for me to keep looking there. I want to look at my target. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Looking. Looking. See how I did that? Another thing you can do is if you can leave out the E if you want and just practice going. And you don't see my head, but I'm hitting this, looking at my target, hitting it. Hitting this, looking at my target, hitting it. So again, you can't see my head, but that's exactly what I'm doing. So you just practice a whole bunch of those. Then maybe, alright, I'm going to add this part. 1, 2, 3. Good. 1, 2, 3. Yep. And then you can practice from here to here, because that's the other hard part. Hit this, look at my target, bring it down. Hit it, look at my target, bring it down. Hit it, look at my target, bring it down. And do a bunch of those. And then you can just add this in. Make sure you got that good. And of course, you can then put it all together. 1, 2, 3, F, C, B, F. 1, 2, 3, F, C, B, F. Or you can just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 8, 7, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 8, 7, 1. And eventually, you're gonna you won't even have to say either one of them. You'll just kind of like have it in your head. You'll hum it. You'll still want to count this. 1, 2, 3. Bum 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 bum. That's your ultimate goal, is just to hum it. And it's good to do it out loud at first, but do it in your head. Later on you can do that, so you don't have to always. If you can't sing, I'm not the greatest singer. Don't ever worry about that. You just it's more about the rhythm than you hitting the correct pitches. But yeah, so go ahead. You got those separate. Now you try to put them together. E, no, F, no, G, no, F, no, E, 2, 3, F, C, B, F, no, E, no, F, no, G, no, F, no, E, 2, 3, E, F, C, B, F. Yeah, and or you can just use the actual the actual fret numbers. Open, no, 1, no, 3, no, 1, no. Open, 2, 3, 1, 8, 7, 1. open note, three note, one note, open, 2, 3, 1, 8, 7, 1 note. And you can kind of keep looping that over and over again. So so really, that's there you go. That's that riff for you. So to summarize, two things that we're really focusing on here in this particular progression is our dotted half note, and then just targeting. We're going to target where we're moving first before we move our fingers over there. So with our dotted notes, remember, the dot is worth half the value of whatever note it's connected to. In our case, it's connected to a half note, which is worth 2 beats. So a half note is worth 2 beats. Half of that would be 1. So our dot would be worth 1 beat. And so our half note is worth 2 beats. Our dot is worth 1 beat. Altogether, a dotted half note is worth 3 beats. So when you play that, you got to make sure you count it right out. 1, 2, 3. Then you play the other parts. Make sure you don't count it 1, 2, and then start moving to the other parts. So there's that. And again, targeting where we're moving and then bringing our fingers to that. So in the second part, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to hit this. Then I target with my eyes where I'm going, move it there. Then I'm targeting where I'm moving and bring my fingers over to there. So it's all about targeting. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that? Always look for first, target with your eyes, then bring your fingers over towards where you are targeting. And really, those are the two main things. And maybe the other thing is with, I put the beats are not just boom, tsh, doom, tsh, just straightforward. And the bass line has some little bit of funkiness to it. So it makes it a little bit harder for you. And you got to start getting used to that because everything isn't just going to be right on perfect. There's going to be a little bit of things in there that's going to distract you a little bit. So you got to really get used to doing that and really be able to keep that beat and keep it all together anyways. So yeah, because there'll be different kind of drum beats, bass playing, there'll be some singing and everything, and all kinds of things going on. And if you end up performing, there'll be stuff going on in front of you too. So you got to really work on really focusing on stuff. Everything's not all just like a robot. So that's another thing to work on. So go ahead, work on this progression, really focus on those parts that we were going over, and yeah, when you're ready, go ahead, move to the next thing. I'm going to jam here a little bit on this, going through it 4 times, and yeah, when you're ready, grab your guitar and jam along with me.